I'm so excited to be with you all today, so thanks for having me. The world has changed a lot, and so I really want to spend this time talking about the 6 sales trends that really should be on everybody's radar for 2022. And I know that going through the pandemic affected everyone personally, but it certainly affected everyone's businesses, and so that's really what I want to talk about today. The last 2 years, we've seen a lot of new challenges resulting in really rapid changes, right? So things like supply chain, we can't get our materials fast enough, prices are going up, staffing issues, we can't get the quality or quantity of people that we need. That has led to sales practice changes. Everybody had to learn how to sell remotely. And then, of course, just trying to grow during these last 2 years for a lot of companies has been really challenging. And so through all of that, there's been some trends that have emerged that I think you'll find are really interesting. I have some notes I don't want to forget, so I'm just going to set them aside as I go. Okay, the first one is value-based selling is now the new norm. And what do I mean by value-based selling? So everybody's product is solving some type of problem. We know that. It can't be generic anymore. We have to customize the solution. We have to have sales teams that can talk about value. And what do I mean by that? So when we're selling our products or services, the value proposition is not the old elevator pitch, right? Everybody's like, what's your elevator pitch? And that's not really what I'm talking about here. We have to be able to train our sales teams to answer some key questions for our clients when we're talking to them. So the first question is, why should they act at all, right? Why should they even buy what you're trying to sell? And if you can't, as a salesperson, convince them in your value proposition, they'll just say, I don't need it. I don't want it. I don't need it. And they'll shut you down. They won't accept your request. They won't talk to you. They won't give you the meeting. So we're trying to resonate with them. Why should you even act on this? The other thing we're trying to do when we're resonating, even if they want it. So a lot of clients are going out to the internet and they know they need your product or service, but maybe they don't want it now. Maybe they know they have a problem, they know they want to fix it, but there's no urgency. So we have to train our salespeople how to create urgency with the client. So when we're resonating, that's really important. Why act now? We also have to differentiate ourselves. So our salespeople have to be able to answer the question, why choose us? Why are we different? If you're just a commodity, right, you can go get this service anywhere. You have to differentiate yourself. So you're answering the question, why choose me? Now there's a couple of ways to differentiate. You can have overall distinction. Maybe there's some things that your company does that nobody else does, and you have to be able to, as salespeople, articulate those. You could also have a perception of scarcity. I'm great at this one. Like anybody that knows me knows like it's hard to get me. So there's a perception there. It's actually reality, but also you have something that, that maybe they can't get anywhere else. And so salespeople have to be able to articulate and differentiate why they're different. Sometimes the product isn't different. Sometimes what you're selling they can get somewhere else. And so the differentiator becomes the seller themselves and the process that they're willing to take the client through. And so answering that question is really important. If your sellers cannot differentiate, the client will say, what is your best price? They don't see you as any different, and they will push you on price. So if you're getting price objections, you need to be coaching your salespeople on their differentiation. The third thing with value is we have to substantiate. We have to answer the question, why trust us, right? So they need it now, they see that you're different, but can I trust what you're telling me? Do I really believe it? And so we have to give proof as salespeople. We have to do things like white papers. We have to be able to show them case studies. We have to be able to, on your LinkedIn, have testimonials, right? Like actually you are going to do what you say you're gonna do, because if they don't trust you, they're just gonna say, I can't risk it. And so it's really important when we're talking about value, it's not the elevator pitch, it's really all of those things that you have to incorporate into a value proposition. So that's a trend that is not changing. And if you can actually do value selling, there's 3 things that are proven by the data that will happen. You'll have more loyalty, you'll have more sales wins, and you'll have premium fees. So it's really important that we're training and teaching our teams how to do that. All right, number 2, virtual selling is here to stay. So you cannot anticipate that Zoom calls are gone forever or Teams calls. It's not going away. In fact, some buyers, now that they know that they can do business that way, prefer it and will not want to meet with you. Don't take it personally, right? It's a time saver in a lot of cases. So just know that that's not changing. So it's really, really important that you have actually trained your employees on how to do virtual selling. Sounds easy. It's not. Mike over here knows, right? You have to be able to make a personal connection. You have to be able to build rapport online. You have to make sure that their head is in the middle of the screen. And have you ever done the Zoom call where the person's, you can only see the top half of their face? You have to have good sound, you have to have good lighting. All of those things are really important. And you also have to train your sales team how to create a collaborative online environment. Now that's really challenging because we don't want to just be a talking head. So even using technology like the whiteboard feature and taking notes online where the client can see that you're capturing the conversation. On a whiteboard, they can contribute. And so just using those type of tools, it's not going away. You've got to be able to get them to do it. All right. So just make sure that, virtually you can watch those calls, which is great. You can be on those calls. The hardest thing as a sales manager is to not do anything and you're watching them fail, but sometimes you need to do that so that you can coach them on how to do it better next time. So just make sure that you're training them on that. All right, trend number 3, Christy, the integration of CRM and marketing automation. Now, I'm really surprised you didn't talk about your CRM. Because that is actually,
I didn't have time.
You didn't have time. But another key component of success for any business is having a CRM. And what is that? That's a customer relationship management system. So that is a system to have all of your customers and all of your prospects. Now, believe it or not, if I work with, let's say, 3 clients, there's always one in the 3 that doesn't have it. I know that's hard to believe in today's environment, but it's still true of a lot of small businesses. And so we won't call out any names, but there's one in the audience today that we recently implemented a CRM. And I would tell you, and he could speak to it himself, I would say most business owners, what they tell me after they implement that is they can sleep better at night. They have visibility on what their sales teams are doing. They can see the pipeline. They can see all the communications that are happening back and forth between their clients and their customers and prospects. So CRM is critical. That is step number 1. But step number 2, the trend is that there's an integration of the CRM and the marketing automation. So those things need to be working very, very closely together. You have to have a CRM before you can do marketing automation because you have to have a database of prospects in which to market to. So those things go hand in hand. And we want to make sure that we're using automation in the best way possible. And so just all the things that Christy talked about were so critical, but there's so many workflow automations that you can do as well. So I have another client and we set up, after the lead comes in, the salesperson can determine which ones are the most viable prospects, but then certain automation, certain communications can happen for the salesperson. So it's not a drag, right? They're going to spend their time with the people that are most likely to buy from them. All right, so that kind of leads me into trend number 4, which is leveraging artificial intelligence in the sales process. So we want our sales teams to use AI, and if you're not using it or you're afraid of it, you're going to get left behind. So this is a trend that you really need to be aware of and be thinking about, and maybe even be a leader in your business with how this can help you. Artificial intelligence is helping companies boost their lead volume, improve their close rates, and supercharge overall sales performance. And what we're trying to do, again, is augment and automate tasks. So if you're a business that sets appointments, you can automate the appointment reminders to go out. You can automate surveys to go out. You can automate follow-up. Your salespeople send the quote out. You can have an automated reminder to the client, say, hey, I just want to make sure you got that. I sent it 2 days ago. And just making those tasks simpler for your salespeople to focus on talking with prospects and closing deals. So the follow-up task can be automated. And it's interesting that, what's going to happen over the next 2 decades, if you're a business that really doesn't require a lot of specialty conversations, AI is coming, and it's coming hard for a lot of those sales roles, but it will never overtake human relationships. So we know that those salespeople, are going to always be important. But if it's simple back and forth conversations, that stuff's going away pretty quick. Some other things with this same trend that we're seeing, other than the simple tasks, an important area to watch is just, again, how do we use these predictive analytics to improve our teams? It's amazing to me. I had another client. We set up a chat bot. Have anybody heard of that? It's like the little bubble guy on your thing that can answer questions for the client. They were getting inundated with phone calls and emails, and just the simple task of setting up an AI chatbot on their website reduced their call-in volume tremendously. And so it just helped their customer service team. 3 minutes, all right. I only have one more trend. But it helped their customer service team, right? Because now we're not getting all these calls, we're letting the artificial intelligence chatbot answer a lot of those questions. So just things like that are gonna really help your teams go. All right, actually I have 6 trends. Okay, the 5 is hiring quality sales talent is becoming more of a challenge. Stephanie will probably speak to this. It's a challenge all over the place. We've got to hire people, we've got to coach them. There's like over 1 million openings for salespeople out in the marketplace. Over 1 million. It's crazy. So it's very hard to find good sales talent. When we find good talent, I often find small businesses lack a good onboarding process. So we have to make sure we have training and onboarding and coaching and all the things that are going to make them successful. Recruiters are really, really critical in this process. If you need volume, you need a recruiter. And if you need salespeople, you need a specialized recruiter, because it's a mindset and a skill set dual combination that we're looking for to be successful. And gut hiring, it's going to fail you every time. You're going to have a revolving door of salespeople, and we don't want that for anybody. So, all right, the last trend is that outsourcing sales is becoming more of the norm. So you can outsource an actual internal sales rep team. You can outsource cold calling. You can outsource sales management like myself. We're just seeing more and more of that across the industries that we work with. It just allows you to get that greater knowledge and really avoid some of those payroll costs, benefits, workspace, all of that. So we're just seeing more outsourcing, I think, not just in sales, but in marketing and HR and all the other areas that we know about. All right, so some sales tools. I threw a lot out there today, but if you are interested in some sales tools to improve your business, you can go to salesacceleration.com to download these, or you can ping me. That's fine. I'll be happy to send them to you, but we have a sales strategy checklist, a sales plan checklist, and a 90-day sales rep onboarding plan. So all of those things are available for you for free. Lots of tools out there, lots of blogs, lots of experts across the country that do what I do that would be happy to offer some free advice to help. But just some interesting trends that we're seeing as a result of the last 2 years, and happy to be able to share those with you.